welcome to the deep dive. So today our mission is to unpack this this really fascinating, beautifully fragmented novel.
Oh, it really is beautiful.
Yeah, it's titled RIPETOS VIAN NOMON porquera MALAPERU. And for those of you translating at home, that is Esperanto for I will repeat your name so it doesn't disappear.
Which is just an incredible title.
It is. It's by HIRAM YAURI, and we're going to use this text today to explore a really universal question, like how exactly do we curate the museum of our own past?
Right, because that's really what the whole book is doing.
Exactly. So you are definitely going to want to get comfortable for this one, because this book is, well, it's a mosaic. It's written across different languages, specifically Esperanto and Spanish.
And across various cities, wildly different time periods. It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's basically the story of a writer trying desperately to capture the past while, somehow figuring out how to survive in the present day.
Yeah, and it's a remarkable piece of literature, partly because it completely rejects the idea of a straightforward, linear narrative.
Totally.
Like, the author doesn't just tell you what happened from point A to point B. Instead, he drops you directly into these vivid, highly specific, almost disorienting moments of a life.
Just right into the deep end.
Right, and right from the opening scene, the text establishes the rules of engagement. We find the narrator sitting in a very isolated study.
Just sitting there alone.
Yeah, but as you read, you realize this study isn't just a room. It functions as a personal archive. He is completely surrounded by objects that act as anchors to his history.
Yes, the text gives us this very specific inventory of his space.
Yeah.
Like, there's a folded map of Sao Paulo.
Right.
There's a painting by the artist Rufino Tamayo featuring this moon that just never seems to set.
Which is such a striking image.
It is. And there's an empty bottle of Apothic dark wine just sitting there on a bookshelf. And amidst all this, the narrator is reading a quote by Anne F. Gareda.
Ah, yes, that quote.
Yeah, it's about the incredibly complex, often agonizing relationship between the books we own and the people we have loved in our lives. Books given to us by lovers or books we deeply wish we had read with them.
It really sets this beautifully melancholic tone right out of the gate.
It really does.
And that tone is essential because to truly understand the architecture of this novel, you have to track the narrator's connections with three very distinct women.
Right. They define everything.
Exactly. These three women essentially define entirely different eras of his life. They almost represent different realities that he inhabits as he tries to figure out, who he actually is.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's get into the first era. This one centers around a woman named Heloise.
Yes, Heloise.
And the dynamic here is so interesting because it's completely disembodied. The narrator is sitting in that quiet, static study we just talked about, but his entire emotional life is happening through chat logs on a screen.
Right, she isn't in the room with him at all.
No, not at all. She's just this digital presence. She tells him she tries to dye her hair blue, but it sometimes turns green.
Which is such a wonderfully human detail for a digital relationship.
Yeah, and we learn pretty quickly that she is married. When they discuss her marriage, she actually describes it as a school of love.
Wow, a school of love.
I know, right? But despite the marriage and the distance, she and the narrator share this intensely charged, incredibly intimate connection. Like, it's platonic on paper, but it is vibrating with this unspoken longing.
It really is vibrating. And the narrator is fully aware that he's playing with fire here.
Oh, absolutely.
At one point, he actually attempts to break the connection off. He sends her a message saying he doesn't want to cause her any problems.
Because he respects her marriage.
Exactly. He respects the reality of her life.
Mm-hmm.
But the tether between them is just too strong. He is so deeply connected to her that he even sends her the completed manuscript of his novel.
Right. The one tentatively titled La Distancia que Queda.
Yes, the distance that remains.
Which feels like such a pointed title. But, I'm trying to wrap my head around his motivation here.
How so?
Well, he's pouring his soul, and literally his life's work, into a chat log with a married woman he isn't physically with. Is it possible that Heloise isn't just a character, but functions more like a mirror for the narrator?
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Like, because they aren't physically together, does she represent the idealized, unlived life?
What's fascinating here is how Heloise represents the safety of distance.
The safety of distance.
Yeah. The narrator in this era is completely adrift. He is dealing with a tremendous amount of anxiety about his future and his place in the world.
Right.
And the novel illustrates a very real human defense mechanism. When the future is too big or just too overwhelming to understand, we naturally shrink our focus down to small things.
Micro interactions.
Exactly. A single book, a chat conversation, an imagined life. Heloise provides him with absolute safety. You can't ruin a relationship that only exists in text messages.
Because you never have to deal with the friction of daily life.
Right, so it remains perfectly preserved.
So it's insulated.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's an ethereal, intellectualized version of love that demands no physical reality.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes the next transition in the book makes so much sense. Because the narrative doesn't just transition away from Heloise, it violently shifts gears.
Oh, it's a massive tonal shift.
Yeah, the safety of that digital distance actually highlights exactly what he's been avoiding in the physical world.
Ooh.
The author suddenly yanks us out of the mind and drops us right into the visceral, sweaty, chaotic body.
Yes. We are suddenly in Sacramento, California.
It's summer. It is incredibly hot, it is loud, and the narrator is working in a completely chaotic restaurant kitchen.
The contrast is brilliant. You go from the total silence of a digital chat log to the deafening tactile reality of a kitchen line.
It's so jarring.
It is. The author spends a lot of time describing the sensory experience. The constant rush of order tickets falling, the line cooks moving around each other in what he calls an industrial dance.
An industrial dance, I love that phrase.
Me too. You hear the chipped plates clattering. There's a moment where you see a cook drop a knife, pick it up, and stare at the words engraved on the blade against the harsh slate.
Wow.
It is gritty, it is tangible, and it forces the narrator and you as the reader into the immediate physical present.
And it is into this highly sensory, grounded world that Anaheim arrives. Now, for everyone listening, Anaheim is a completely different gravitational pull from Heloise.
Entirely different.
She is a woman with red hair, which the author describes vividly as the color of roses in a garden under the rain. And she has blue eyes. She is originally from Alabama.
And unlike the pixels of Heloise, Anaheim is blood, bone, and physical presence.
Exactly. She also brings with her a devastating, deeply human backstory.
Yes, the backstory she shares with him completely shifts their dynamic. They are in this dark, noisy bar called The Press.
Right.
And she tells him about her ex, who was this charismatic, older German man. They met, fell in love, and they lived together. Everything felt aligned. But he had previously told her he had unfinished business back in Germany.
Which is universally a massive warning sign.
Oh, absolutely a red flag. And the reality of that unfinished business crashes down on her one morning when she is home alone.
This part is so wild.
A strange woman simply walks through the front door of their house using her own key. It was his wife from Germany.
Just walks right in.
Yeah, they were still legally married and they shared a child.
It is a literal nightmare scenario. And it becomes even more complicated because Anaheim ends up getting pregnant.
Right.
Now, the German man actually chooses Anaheim over his wife from Germany. But as the narrator observes in the text, some decisions simply arrived too late.
The damage was already done.
Exactly. The foundational trust was entirely shattered. The love was broken beyond repair, and it led to divorce. So it's a story of profound betrayal that completely reshaped who she is and how she approaches trust.
Which is why the moment they finally become official is so striking.
Oh, I love this scene.
They've been circling each other in Sacramento, spending all this time together, laughing until they cry over absurd, mundane stories.
Stolen garden gnomes, yeah.
Yes, stolen garden gnomes. And finally, they kiss. The narrator is still kind of reeling from it, and he asks her, "So are you single?"
And Anaheim just laughs, shakes her head and says, "No, I have a boyfriend." Then she points right at him and says, "You."
It is such a decisive physical claiming of him. After all the drifting and the digital ambiguity with Heloise, Anaheim grounds him instantly with a single word.
It brings me back to that kitchen scene where he describes the cooks moving in an industrial dance.
How so?
Well, because earlier in the book, there's this quiet scene where he watches a woman dancing alone in a forest. And it's like the narrator views all human connection as a choreography we have to learn.
Oh, that's a great connection.
Like with Heloise, he was just reading the sheet music safely in his room.
Right.
With Anaheim, he's finally pulled onto the dance floor, he's sweating, he's making mistakes, and he's actively participating.
That is an excellent framework for understanding his growth. Sacramento, and Anaheim specifically, force him to inhabit his own body. We learn that he came to California running from something in his past, right?
Yeah, biking drunk through empty streets.
Exactly, biking drunk and lonely at night, feeling like a ghost in his own life. But Anaheim anchors him. She is the physical reality, contrasting with Heloise's digital presence.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because the narrative doesn't stay in that gritty realism, which threw me a bit. Once they are together, the author starts portraying their love not just as a strong emotion, but almost as an altered state of reality.
Yes, the scenes become incredibly surreal. It's almost cinematic.
Right. It's like they are walking through a dreamscape.
The author shifts the tone to demonstrate how being deeply in love can alter your perception of the physical world around you.
We see this during a Halloween party scene. They go to a bar called Honey and the Trap Cat. It's raining outside.
That very specific neon-reflecting cinematic rain.
Totally. The bar is packed with people in costumes, witches, vampires, and there's this completely absurd guy just walking around handing out Captain Crunch cereal from a backpack.
Right, just handing out cereal.
And yet, it doesn't read as silly. It reads like they are the main characters in a strange, beautiful indie film, completely insulated from the normal rules of society.
You see it again at the Folsom Gala. It's a 1924 themed event where Anaheim is receiving an award for her social work.
Oh, she's wearing that stunning red dress.
Yes, and the narrator describes it as looking like it was hand-colored into a black and white silent film. He is watching her, utterly captivated, trying to resist drinking too much wine because he has to drive them home.
Right, he calls the wine a patient animal that always wins.
Exactly. His entire view of her is drenched in this intoxicating, almost dangerous admiration.
And it happens in quiet moments, too. There's a scene in his apartment where Anaheim puts on a cowboy hat and a miniskirt and just dances for him in the living room.
While he just sits there.
Yeah, he sits on the couch, drinking warm apothic wine. But the absolute peak of this surrealism, and I mean, I really need you to explain this to me, is the drive toward Yuba City.
Ah, yes. The Yuba City sequence is arguably the most striking moment in the entire text.
It's wild. They stop for gas, a car declines, they just laugh it off, and they keep driving.
Yeah.
But as they drive, the environment just starts to empty out entirely.
Just completely clears out.
Yeah. And then, standing on the side of the highway, they see a person dressed in a retro vintage sci-fi astronaut suit, just standing perfectly still.
And then they see another one.
And another. Multiple astronauts just standing motionless by the highway like people waiting for a bus. And neither the narrator nor Anaheim say a single word about it. They just accept the surrealism.
It's totally accepted.
So help me understand this. Are the astronauts real? Or is the author showing us that when you are deeply in love, you enter a shared hallucination where the outside world just stops making sense?
To understand the astronauts, you have to look at the mechanics of nostalgia that the author is playing with. The narrator isn't giving us an objective recounting of his time with Anaheim.
Right.
He is writing a letter to a past era. Notice his tone. He calls her Fuego Mío, my fire. He is memorializing highly curated memories.
Like the rain in San Francisco.
Exactly. The Golden Gate Park walks, the Dairy Queen milkshakes spiked with whiskey. He is cataloging this past era with desperate precision.
So he's editing the memory as he's telling it?
Yes. He is memorializing a time that has already ended. Human memory is inherently surreal because it distorts reality based on how we felt. The astronauts are artifacts of how isolated and otherworldly that love felt to him.
Wow. Curating a museum exhibit of something that has already ended. That makes the next transition in the novel hit incredibly hard.
It really pulls the rug out from under you.
It does. Because the author executes this massive narrative sleight of hand. We get a sudden jarring signal that a major time jump has occurred. Out of nowhere, the narrator simply states, Sacramento happened 5 years ago.
It forces the reader to completely reorient themselves.
Yeah, because we, alongside the narrator, have spent all this time wrapped up in Anaheim. But suddenly we are explicitly reminded that Anaheim, despite the massive intensity of that connection, was a chapter in the past.
The camera pulls all the way back, and we find the narrator firmly in the present day.
Right. And the setting is completely different. He is living in a quiet house. He is sitting in the living room reading. There's a small Brazilian flag sitting on the bookshelf.
Which is a very important detail.
It is. And then a woman approaches him from behind and kisses his neck. But the text makes it very clear the woman who walks up behind him doesn't have Anaheim's red hair.
No, she does not.
She has black hair. She speaks to him in Portuguese, saying, Vem comigo, come with me. Her name is Giselle.
That introduction completely shifts the foundation of the novel.
We realize the entire journey was leading somewhere we hadn't anticipated at all. They were preparing for a wedding, and Giselle shows him the main ornament for the wedding table.
Right, the ornament.
Yeah, the narrator focuses on the names on it.
Yeah.
His name and Giselle's name. Giselle explains she decided to use her full name rather than her childhood nickname G, simply because she liked how their full names looked together.
Notice his reaction in that moment. He doesn't question it. He looks at the two names and recognizes it as a concrete form of destiny. It's a moment of profound peace.
So what does this all mean? We spend so much time falling in love with Anaheim alongside the narrator, only to realize the ultimate destination was someone else entirely. It's a beautiful sleight of hand.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is a masterful payoff by the author. The destination was actually hiding in plain sight from the very first pages.
Wait, really?
Think back to that opening scene in the isolated study before we ever met Heloise or Anaheim. What was one of the objects sitting on his bookshelf?
A folded map of São Paulo, a city in Brazil. And Giselle speaks Portuguese.
Exactly. The map was there from page 1. The clues were there from the beginning. The novel explores how we are shaped by the spaces between destinations.
Right, between the destinations.
As the narrator says earlier in the book, he points out how everyone focuses on the main avenues, the wide streets named with big letters, A, B, C. But he argues that life doesn't happen on the main avenues. It happens in the secret alleys hidden away in between.
So he's using the city grid as a metaphor for his own life.
Precisely. Anaheim was a beautiful, vital, chaotic alleyway he walked down, but Giselle is the final avenue. She is the destination.
That is a stunning way to view your own history. So to recap this massive journey for you listening, we started in that safe, unlived digital space with the ghost of Heloise.
Right.
Then we crashed into the gritty, surreal, whiskey-soaked romance of Sacramento with Anaheim. And finally, we arrive at this grounded, present-day peace with Giselle.
It is the journey of a man learning how to fully occupy his own life.
But that journey leaves us with one massive, lingering question. And it brings us right back to the very title of the book. I will repeat your name so it doesn't disappear.
It is the ultimate puzzle. Who is he actually writing this book for?
Right. If he is at peace with Giselle in the present day, why did he write this intensely detailed chronicle of Anaheim? Is the novel itself a monument built specifically to keep Anaheim's memory alive, even as he marries Giselle?
And if it is, can we be fully committed to our present while simultaneously building a museum for our past? It really makes you wonder.
It makes you look at the books on your own shelf differently. Well, that is definitely something for you to mull over or explore on your own. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the beautiful, fragmented architecture of the human heart. We will see you next time.